The Nylander bros are together at last. Sort of. We'll get into that story and test our Maple Leafs knowledge with a Sporcle quiz on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sport stops sporting like you want them to, but this summer, FanDuel has hooking up all customers with a booster or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. What's going on, Dave? How you feeling on a Monday?
Not bad. Busy weekend. Without sports, find other ways to entertain myself.
Without sports? What, you just hate the Olympics?
Nighttime. There's no Olympics at night.
You watch the reruns, I guess, of what you missed throughout the day. It's kind of
I watched it throughout the day, so I had nothing.
You were up at 6, 7, 8 a.m. watching the gymnastics. I was not. I could assure you that. Not that it's also on top of my mind to watch that at 8 o'clock as well. But yeah, I guess you're right. You could watch the sports earlier in the day, I suppose. But how about that? We kind of talked about it when the story broke, just as we were recording. I think Thursday night, the hockey or the soccer Canada story was kind of unfolding, and we found out over the weekend that they're going to be docked 6 points. And the manager, the coach, suspended for a full year by FIFA and obviously was sent home by Canada. And they ended up winning their first game. After all that, they go out there and they win their first game 2-1 over France. Still a seemingly daunting task for them to come back and try and defend their gold medal, being docked 6 points. A lot kind of has to go their way in order for them to end up making it through, but still, it's possible. They're saying there's a chance. There's a small sliver chance. Summer McIntosh got Canada's first medal of the Olympic Games too. Congratulations to her in the 400-meter freestyle swim, I think. Yes. So congrats to her, and hopefully it's the first of many to come for her and the rest of the athletes of Canada. For our American listeners, kudos to whatever the U.S. athletes are doing. I did see Simone Biles was killing it in the gymnastics a little bit earlier today. My people in the house were watching it. I was walking by. I was like, oh, I'll check it out, see what's going on. She crushed it as per usual.
Yep.
All right. Let's put the Olympics to the side for now, and let's get into the news of the day, because there's actually a little bit of Leaf news that we can react to over the weekend. Alex Nylander, the brother of Willie Nylander, is not quite a Maple Leaf, but he is in the Maple Leafs organization. It was announced today that the Toronto Marlies have signed Alex Nylander to a 1-year deal. It's an AHL contract, so he will get an opportunity with the Marlies. I would imagine that would come with a camp invite of some kind as well. He'll get an opportunity to prove himself. Kind of surprised that he wasn't able to get himself just like an NHL contract, and he had to settle for an AHL deal.
Yeah, I was surprised. It's so surprising that ended up being not even just even like a PT. I know PTOs, it's like way too early for PTOs right now. But like that he didn't wait for a potential PTO.
Well, I don't know this for a fact, but I feel like this is somewhat of a PTO though. Like I don't know this for a fact. Again, this is just me kind of reading some tea leaves here, but like, how much better of a situation could it get if you're Alex Nylander, right? You know the city a little bit because your brother lives here. You could probably just realistically just bunk with your bro. Like, you're not going to have to get your own apartment or anything like that. You guys can just be roommates for a season. You know, you can eat all his food and live rent free basically, which would be nice as opposed to anywhere else in the NHL. He'd probably have to rent or buy a house or do something. But you know, I'd like to see if there's any bonus structure that was involved in this deal. I haven't been able to find anything on, you know, what the structure of the contract was, but you know, if he got some money up front in like some sort of signing bonus, even if it's a couple 100,000, to sign a deal with the Marlies just to get him here, get him into camp, and then kind of like what they did with Noah Gregor, where it was kind of always known that he was going to end up turning that PTO into an NHL deal. I feel like something similar maybe in the works for Nylander, where it's like, yeah, we'll figure it out at the end of the season. We just got to make sure that we got our cap, you know, our cap in working order before we officially do it. But you know, most likely we will convert that into an NHL contract, two-way deal maybe, and he can earn himself a chance to be on the Maple Leafs. I think that could be part of the situation here. Again, I don't know for fact. I'm just, you know, looking at it. Alex Nylander, he had a good season last year. Like I'm like that's kind of the thing. Like I'm looking at what he was able to do last year, specifically after he had got traded from Pittsburgh to oh, am I blanking? The Blue Jackets, 23 games. He had 11 goals, like 15 points in 23 games. The final, you know, month and a half of the season, 2 months of the season, he did really, really well. So I think that he proved that he maybe was figuring things out and possibly could be an NHL piece or at least be, you know, one of those tweener guys. So yeah, I could totally see this working out well for the Maple Leafs, and potentially he ends up playing some games for them and signs a real deal with the Buds at some point.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm kind of looking out for, if there's a potential for that to become a two-way deal. Yeah, I look at it almost similar to like the Kiefer Bellows, Josh Hosting sort of situations where, you know, I come into camp, show what you can do. Worst case, you play for an AHL team that is not like some other AHL teams. Like they'll pay decent amount, plus you probably get a little bit of a better. Some AHL teams don't exactly have the money back in them like the Marlies do.
You'll travel well, you'll eat well, you'll get top tier facilities, you'll get taken care of.
And worst case for a guy on an AHL deal, another NHL team's like, hey, here's an NHL deal, come play with us.
Yeah, for sure. Right. If he ends up lighting it up and someone's like, yeah, we could use him as a fourth line winger, or we could use him at some point. Let's give him a shot. Definitely could end up being the case. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But you know, when I look at the contract situation for the Maple Leafs, look at their cap situation, it kind of points to maybe there's something else afoot here, and they're just maybe waiting on a couple of shoes to drop before making it official. But wanted to get him in, gets him a little bit of, you know, money in his pocket up front, possibly, and you know, makes Willie happy. Right now, he gets to play with his brother, and looks like something clicked for him last year. He started to put the puck in the back of the net at the NHL level. He's done it in the AHL level for quite some time. You know, last year he did pretty solid. You look at his numbers in the AHL. 32 points in 43 games. So, you know, pretty good. The year before that, 50 points in 55 games. So he's been, you know, near point per game average the last couple seasons in the American Hockey League. So just hopefully he's hoping at least that it can translate to, now that he's with his brother, maybe something could click and, you know, we could have a big old Nylander party here with the Maple Leafs. All right. When we come back, we're gonna do a Sporcle quiz. We're gonna test our knowledge on the Maple Leafs, and I want to take a look at where the Leafs cap situation's at right now, also with this deal, and it may explain as to why it wasn't an NHL deal. So we'll look into the cap of the Maple Leafs in a moment, and we'll do that quiz coming up next here on the Locked On Leafs podcast. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All you got to do is open up the app, dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood, and bam, And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Welcome back into the Locked On at Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti with you here on the show. Starting this, well, I guess today. So for the remainder of the month here, we're dropping down to 3 shows a week. So FYI, if you're logging on to your iTunes, you're logging on to your Spotify on Tuesday, and you're looking for that daily pod, we're dropping to 3 shows a week just for the month of August, and then we'll pick back up, once hockey gets rolling again. But this is the downtime. There's not a whole lot to talk about. There's not really much daily coverage at this point. Everyone's on vacation, enjoying themselves. So we're gonna drop to 3 shows a week. They'll come out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Most likely are going to be the days for the next few weeks here. So just keep that little schedule change in mind for all you everydayers. We do thank you and appreciate you for listening and tuning in every day. I get told all the time that, daily listener, love the podcast, love you and Dave. So we appreciate everybody for that. And just, be patient. I know you love your daily Leafs talk, but there's not a whole lot of it to go around these days. So dropping it to 3 days a week will give us a chance to talk about the more important things. And one of the more important things I think that we should mention is a nice little tweet that Joe Bowen sent out the other day. Sounds like the Leafs radio broadcast crew returning for another year. Bonesy and Ralphie announcing that they'll be back for the 2024-25 season. Big news for Leaf fans. Everyone unanimously loves themselves some Ralphie and Bonesy.
Of course, iconic duo. Obviously, we've heard many say they wish to hear more of Bonesy and Ralphie.
Everyone wants them on TV. I think Gord and CC are terrific. I think they're great. It has nothing to do with them, but I do find it hilarious how many people want to see Bonesy calling hockey games on the tube.
They just want that home local feel to the broadcast.
Yeah.
Gordon CC are national broadcasters. I think that's really what it really comes down to, in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. There's so many people that tell me all the time, like, oh, I'll put the TV on and then I'll sync it up with the radio, and that's how I watch my games, which is a wild thing to do, and that takes some work. But shout out to those who do that. If you do, let me know down below, because that's hardcore Leaf fan. If you're willing to put in that work to get that done, because you want to listen to the game right, and Bonesy gives it to you the way that you want it. I appreciate the people who do that, but you'll be able to do it again.
How about the person that syncs up the radio call with any sort of play that Bonesy and Ralphie does and then tweets it out? That person.
Oh, you mean like on Twitter, like those who like go online and do it? Yeah.
Shout out to those, because that takes some serious work.
Well, they get it done pretty quickly too, actually. So
they must have a system to get it synced up pretty good.
Well, I think it's more of like a screen record. They sync it up right away at the beginning, and they just kind of go, I assume, and they just stay in lockstep with the record, and then they just kind of like do the GIF maker and stuff and send out the goals, I would imagine. But I don't know. That's above what I know. I barely know how to tweet, brother. So that's just me thinking, but I have no idea if that's how it's actually done. You're far more technologically inclined than I am. Okay. So really quickly, I do want to get into the Leafs cap structure. Now we can get to the Sporcle quiz in a moment, but it just made me think, like, okay, where are the Leafs at now? Like, why wasn't Alex Nylander good enough to sign like league minimum deal, 1 year, like 800,000 league min? Are they up against it salary wise? Do they have too many contracts signed? Like, what's the reason for it? And to be honest, they're not. Like, they've got only 45 out of 50 contracts. They still have 5 contract slots that they could do. They still have $875,000 in cap space. They only have 21 of their 23-man roster accounted for in that cap space. So they can add a player up to $875,000. So realistically, they could have signed Nylander to like again a league minimum 1 year $800,000 type of deal. They chose not to. Now, I will say they still need to figure out what's going on with Nicholas Robertson. So that might be part of the reason is they're hoping they can, find some sort of common ground with him as opposed to trade him away. And interestingly enough, now this is according to Cap Wages, which they're doing a terrific job filling in for Cap Friendly. If you go to capwages.com, it almost looks exactly like the way Cap Friendly was, and they've even improved since like the first couple of days that they've come out. Now you can see the non-roster contracts and the AHL contracts and even the reserve lists they have as well, which I find to be awesome, actually. But anyways, according to Cap Wages, Hakanpää is accounted for on their current cap hit, which is up to just a little over $87 million. And they do have him, here at 2 years, $1.5 million. I still don't know what the hell's going on with Hakanpää, brother. Like, I keep getting asked by everybody too, what's going on with this guy. Like, I was on the Instigators pod the other day, and they were like, "Do you know what's going on with Hakanpää?" I'm like, "Dude, no." Like, I keep asking everyone the same question. No one seems to know what's going on with this guy. But Cap Wages has him sitting here on the roster. I don't know if we missed something or if they just have him there just because it was announced at one point, or at least it was talked about at one point by the general manager. I don't know, but that's kind of where the cap situation is for the Maple Leafs as of today, July 29th.
Yeah, I sincerely have no idea what's going on with the Hakanpää situation. Like, and I'm on Cap Wages too, which has now become my go-to.
Yeah.
Hakanpää's there, but Connor Timmins isn't, which I find kind of funny too.
Yeah,
I mean, we kind of know that he could be the odd man out. But like, one is signed to a contract, the other one isn't. Like, I found that dynamic to be quite funny.
The other one may or may not be. That's the thing. I truly don't know when it comes to hockey. But let me see. Actually, you can click on. I think signed is like clickable, right? No, is it not clickable? Maybe not.
I mean, I can click on his profile and stuff, and
no, I know. I know on Cap Friendly, like if you know where it says signed, where like there's like a click. You used to be able to click it and it would bring you like a link to the signing or something like that, but it doesn't look like
there was never the Leafs never announced any of that. Like,
no,
it was just reported. So
reported and talked about publicly by Brad Treliving. And then the report came out a little bit afterward from Steve Simmons that there was a concern about his knee. And then all of a sudden it went radio silent and it never ended up getting reported by the Maple Leafs either. So I don't know.
To me, this is a deal that was agreed to in person, but may have never been fully registered. And that's probably why Treliving maybe in a way got a little too ahead of himself talking about it, even though like probably the paperwork wasn't fully drawn up, because he was talking about other deals too, and they didn't get announced till later as well, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he actually spoke on them and spoke on like the actual person though.
Yeah,
I don't think he actually referred to those other deals. I think he just said we got a couple other little things in the hopper that actually specifically naming someone. He dropped Hakanpää's name and actually spoke on him. So I don't know. That's, I guess something that may or may not get figured out between now and training camp. I'm sure that'll be a question if we don't get clarity between now and then. That'll pop up on day one. I bet you David Alter or Mark Masters, they're going to show and be like, hey, Hakanpää here? Like, what happened there? I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it at some point. All right, let's take one more break. Let's come back and let's get into the Sporcle quiz, Dave. We're going to test our Maple Leafs knowledge. We're going to do that coming up next here on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti with you. All right. So I remember, so Dave and I went to school together in it was a graduate program, sports journalism graduate program at Centennial College. I don't remember if you used to do these, but a couple of people that we went to school with, and myself included, would spend like half of our classes doing these Sporcle quizzes. I don't know if you were doing those as well, but like shout out like Mini Fang, shout out to Jazz, and shout out to Vivek and Mike, Alessandrini, like all those guys. We used
All
to
you
sit
guys
there.
at the back of the room.
Yeah, we used to sit there and we used to do Sporcle quizzes whenever we were like in the lab and stuff, just to kill some time. It was a lot of fun just trying to go through and see, test our own sports knowledge. And there's a couple of Maple Leafs quizzes out there too, actually. So we thought, let's look up some Maple Leafs quizzes and see if we could test our knowledge right here live on the podcast. So why don't we bring it up? So this quiz, so we're gonna kind of do something a little different than what it's asking for, because I believe the quiz is asking basically in each season who had the most wins for a goalie, points for a defenseman, and points for a forward dating back to, I think, 1967, I believe is what it dates back to. I mean, we're not going to know all the way back then, honestly. I think for us, we could probably just go from like the 90s and up, like, our lifetime, the last 30 years. That's pretty much where I guarantee you my knowledge will probably be. We might be able to guess a couple of guys, but we'll see. We'll see how well we could do, I suppose. But we're probably going to focus more so in the last 30 years than the 30 years before that, I would imagine.
There are like a couple of random like 70s years. I would
like you throw out like Boreas Salming. I bet you he'll show up for a bunch of years back then. In the defensive category, Sittler, he could probably throw in, right. We could probably come up with some guys, but like Armstrong and whatnot. But
Rick Five, I could go through.
Five, he'll show up. Yeah, we'll do our best, but anything pre our birth, give us a little bit of leniency on for maybe not knowing what happened in the 80s, 70s, and 60s when it came to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But without further ado, Dave, why don't we kick this bad boy off? Let's play the quiz.
All right.
All right. How do you want to start? Okay, put Austin Matthews. Like, we know that Austin Matthews led the team in points this year, so that works. Wow, look at that. 4 years he's led the team in points. Holy moly. Mitch Marner led last year, so might as well put Mitch Marner there with 99 points or 2 years ago.
Oh, Mitchell Marner. Sorry.
Mitchell Marner. He led all the rest of them. Look at that. Holy smokes. Okay. Goalie last year. I mean, you can just start typing stuff too.
For sure.
Yeah, Samsonov. I think Jack Campbell led in 21-22.
Yeah. It should be 2 years in a row for Jack. Freddie Anderson. Okay.
Beauty. Before that, I mean, oh gosh, what are we getting into? Who was there at that point? Reimer? Bernier.
Well, Reimer would have led 1 year for sure. Jonathan Bernier would have led another. Oh God, let's go. Wow, 3 years in a row. Jesus. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we had here. 11, 12. Who would have been in between? 11. Oh, 2010, 2011 was Reimer.
Nope,
Ben Scrivens?
No.
You know who it was? The hell is that guy's name?
Not
the monster.
Gustafson. There you go. Jonas Gustafson.
Let's go. What a pull. 2011, 2012. Remember that signing? Like, that was such an epic signing at the time. Like,
the monster.
Legitimately. Well, like, what's his name? Who made the signing? Burke literally flew all the way to Sweden to like.
Oh yeah, this was supposed to be like the best top free agent goaltender you can get.
Like, he legitimately, like this was like the Kuzmenko of goalies at the time, where it's like he's coming in and he's gonna be the guy going forward for us. We got no defenseman here. Let's toss Morgan Riley in here.
Yeah, let's
clear out the defenseman. 19. 1920. Would have been Barry? Tyson Barry in 1920?
Yeah. 16-17.
16-17. Oh boy. Gardner? Jake Gardner?
Let's do Gardner. Let's do Phaneuf.
Yeah.
I think Phaneuf led one
Phaneuf
year.
had to have for a few years there in the early mid 2000s. 1 year? He only led defense in 1 year?
Yeah.
Wild.
He really.
There were 3. Oh my God. 2014-15. That team stunk. They had 32 points. That was the highest for a defense.
I'm trying to think who would have been the lockout shortened year.
Hainsey?
No way.
Polak?
Oh my God. I'm trying to think of the least defense in that time.
Let's get some names we know. Let's get Cabriolet out there. Let's get McCabe in there. Yeah, I know they're lower down on the list, but we know that they led for numerous years.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so we've got almost the entire
2000. How about Kubina for sure?
Kubina led? Wow, okay, cool.
Yeah, he had a really good first half decent year.
Oh, you know who I bet it was? I'm going to laugh if he literally led the team in points here. Put in Cody Franzen.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
All
did.
3 of those years?
Attaboy.
Led the least blue line in points.
He was a power play muncher.
Bro,
when it came to score.
3 years in a row.
I was a huge Cody Franzen fan. I don't know how I didn't remember that.
Yeah, I mean he was decent. I didn't
in
realize
the playoffs. He was one of the few defensemen that could score. That's
wild. Okay, we gotta get some forwards up in here now. We're almost halfway through this thing. We were still chilling in the 2000s.
Okay. Hold on. We gotta get our boy Hot Dog Man.
Oh yeah, Phil Kessel. Yeah, what's that? 6 years in a row he led the team in points. 15-16. Would that have been like Parento?
No, it's Kadri.
Oh yeah, true.
45 points. Oh my God, I remember how bad.
That's a full season. That was the year they tanked for Matthews.
Yeah.
And Nazem Kadri led the team with 45 points. Congratulations.
Tim Connolly, I think, led the year at least 1 year in scoring.
No shot.
He had like 60-something points.
No shot. He led the team.
Okay, wait. Let's make life easier on ourselves. We got to get Sundin in there.
Good call.
I bet you
McGillney's there at 79. Yeah. Put McGillney for 02-03.
Yep. Who would have been between the Sundin and Kessel time?
Bozak?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Bozak that early. I don't know if he was that early though.
Oh man. I know that's something like that's early for him.
Okay, goalies. We got Cujo. Just get Cujo in there. Curtis Joseph.
Belfour.
Toskala.
Yep,
Toskala for sure. Yep, there you go. So that takes it.
I'm gonna put Potvin because he'd be there. Potvin.
So we almost got the goalies all the way swept until the 90s.
I could go pretty low. I could go a long time for the goalies.
Go ahead, just keep filling them in, brother.
Barrasso. Barrasso was before. Was after.
I think Barrasso.
No, who was the goalie before Potvin in the early 90s?
Put in Turk Broda.
Well, I mean,
we know
that was pre-expansion. So,
oh dang, you're right.
Mike Palmateer for sure. Yep. Damn, who's the goalie? Oh my God, I'm gonna hurt.
Fear.
Yes, Grant Fear. That's
Fear.
For one, yeah, that takes care of 1 year. Oh, okay. Let's get some fortune. Let's get Gilmore.
Yeah, Dougie for sure.
Let's get Andrew Chuck. Is that how you spell? I'm gonna hurt myself.
Andre Andrey
Chuk. No.
Yeah.
I thought he would have led 1 year in points.
He definitely led goals.
Vive for sure. Let's get Sittler.
Yeah, get Sittler in there.
Okay. With
Sittler,
Salming?
a bunch of years. Boreas Salming would have led a bunch of years.
Yeah. For defense.
Ooh.
Oh boy! Wow.
Tim Horton in the 60s?
No,
I don't know
that
what he
I
played,
don't
to be
think that would
honest.
have been. Keon would have been around for at least one of those years.
I'll put him
There's
in.
gonna be a lot of people not happy with us.
No, I know. I mean, like, we weren't even born. I think we got everything from when we were born, at least pretty well.
Yeah.
Do we get any more?
Vinny Danfus is another one I know. No, I thought he would have been one for sure. But we're talking about leaders.
Do we have everything cleared from like the 2000s? Let's make sure we got that clear.
There's this one year, 0809. I'm trying to remember.
0809 forward. 0809. Yo, shot in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Shot in the dark. Was it Jason Blake?
Wow.
Oh, what a pull.
Let's go.
What a pull. I remember he had one good year.
I know he had a good year. I just didn't think hold on. One good year. Remember the hype around the Jason Blake signing?
Yeah, I know. The big time hype. Signed a 4 year. Now, to be fair, he got to Toronto, and I think that's when he got diagnosed with cancer.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and dog the guy.
How about Gary Lehman? For sure.
For sure, yeah. He'll be low down there. Not 89-90. Wow.
I think I was spelling Danfus' name. That's right. It's 2 S's.
There you go. Yeah,
I knew
now you gotta spell him right too.
Lanny McDonald for sure.
Probably, yes.
Down. All right, we gotta get some D-man though.
Oh God, in the 80s, 90s, D-man. Trying to think who was even on the team at that point. Like, who just some like great? We've got like a minute 30 on this timer. It was an 11-minute timer, by the way. So we had 11 minutes to come up with however many players we possibly could. We've cleared everything else, right? We've cleared the 2000s.
Yeah, we've cleared the 2000s. We're like,
okay.
Eddie Olczyk. Oh, he was a few years. Good on him. Trying to think of defensemen.
What about
who's the one they traded to the Red Wings?
They trade a defenseman they traded to the Red Wings?
Yeah, he was pretty much told to get out of town. Like they all hated. Okay, well I think Turnbull would have been an option too. That's like lower down.
Ian Turnbull. Oh, what about Scullett? Iafrate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he definitely was early 90s.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Took up 4.
Man, I'm trying to think of the fact.
We did Dion already, yeah.
Did Todd Gill ever lead? Yep, Todd Gill.
Really? Todd Gill 3 times?
32 points was one of the years.
See, I remember like Todd Gill when he came back his second tour of duty with the Leafs. So we got 6 seconds left. 6 seconds. 5. Oh my God.
So let's see what we didn't get here.
Oh, Larry Murphy.
That's who it was. Oh,
that's who you were thinking of. Matthew Schneider. I didn't even know Matthew Schneider was a Leaf, honestly.
I actually did know that. But that again, those are like the obscure time I started watching like hockey 99. Like when they moved out of the Garden was when I started watching. Dave Ellett, okay. Dave Ellett, Glenn Anderson.
Could have had Peter Ing. I would have never had these goals.
Jim Benning. How did we miss the goat?
Jimmy Benning? Jet black hair, Jim Benning.
How do we live?
Oh, Wilf Paymont. I should have had Wilf Paymont.
Oh, man.
True story. I know Wilf Paymont actually, like, on a personal level pretty well. He's
how did I miss Jim McKenney?
Friend of my father's, kind of. Tim Horton was there. You should have put Tim Horton.
Okay.
What the hell? Jacques Plante. Should have had Jacques Plante.
Yeah, I remember Jacques Plante, that he wore the mask. Bruce Gamble. Yeah, I should have remembered Brucey.
I'm so mad that you didn't even write out.
I know.
You didn't even write out Tim Horton. You said, no, you're wrong. You're an idiot, Mike.
Yeah.
Joke's on you.
I'll say though, okay, it just kind of shows that in the 90s, the Leafs didn't really have as many great defensemen, like point scoring defensemen. The best one they had, they traded away, and Larry Murphy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the Leafs. Well, they were a decent team throughout the 90s, though, at least.
All right. Well, I'm still pretty. You did pretty well on this, Mike, with the Franzen, Jason Blake. What was the other one you had?
The monster, Swedish monster, Gustafsson. That was a good pull.
That was a good pull. I think you're Jason Blake. Jason Blake, you can hold that over me for a while.
I just remember he had one good year, and I'm like, if it wasn't Sundin, I think Gilney was gone. McGillney was long gone by then. I think Roberts was gone by then. I'm like,
Sundin was gone when Blake came in. That was the year he went to the Canucks, wasn't it? 08-09?
Maybe the following year. I feel like it might have been 09-10.
Was he there? Well, I mean, was he there for the year for the Olympics?
No, so you're right, actually. Yeah, because he was there the year before they went on the Cup run.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was there the year before that.
Yeah, so I'm like, who the hell could it possibly be if it wasn't like Sundin or like it wasn't gonna be like Ty Domi or Darcy Tucker? So it's like Jason Blake had one really good year. Turns out it was him.
Glad I remember Pavel Kubina.
That was probably your big pull. Pavel Kubina.
I always remember Pavel Kubina because he randomly changed his jersey number from like 73 to 39 or something, and he actually the Leafs actually had people change their jerseys for free because of it. It was such a random thing. Like who?
Oh yeah, what was he? He wore like number 34 or something, didn't he?
34 or 39.
Yeah.
Anybody has a Pavel Kubina jersey, let us know.
Shout out, or Jason Blake.
I actually know someone who owns a Jason Blake jersey.
Nice, very nice.
You're a Jason Blake fan when he signed.
Well, we did decent. What was our final score?
Final score was 123 out of 168.
You know what? And we should have
73%, and the average score is 30%.
Oh, we're geniuses. And we should have had Tim.
Okay, yeah, so you're not going to let me forget that one. Okay.
No, I said it 3 times.
I know.
Oh, you didn't play.
I want to do another one of these. We're going to have to do, I think, one of these every day now. Every show now.
Oh, about every day. That might get a little boring for the listener, but we could definitely maybe filter one in once a week. We'll do a weekly Sporcle at some point because they got a few of them here. Why don't you guys go ahead? You could try this and let us know how you guys do. I already know there's people just yelling at us, especially if you're watching on YouTube and you could see like this is definitely.
I already know some person is gonna get at me for the Tim Horton one.
Probably.
Mike's already given it to me. I swear, if I see comments on it, I'm gonna ignore you.
Yeah.
Hide the comment.
Oh well. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do it again. We'll do it again. All right, that'll end it for us here today. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content for the remainder of the month of August. We're going to be dropping from 5 days a week down to 3 days a week every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Expect a brand new podcast with the latest going on in Leafland and the NHL. Follow myself on X at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys on Wednesday. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.